Let me tell you something wild. You ever buy a piece of land for a single cent, only to have a whole HOA try to steal it right out from under you 2 years later? Yeah, that was me. The smell of old paperwork still hung in the HOA office the day I signed the deal. Karen Whitmore talking down to me like I just bought myself a lifelong curse instead of 2.3 acres at Willow Creek and Sycamore. Worthless, she called it. 13 grand in back taxes, 35 more in cleanup costs. Take it or leave it. I took it. 1 penny. That was the price on paper. 23 months after that, a real estate boom hit, and suddenly my patch of dirt was worth $5 million. And just like that, Karen's tune changed. She sued me for fraud, demanding her precious land back as if I'd trick her into selling the family jewels for bubblegum money. But I wasn't about to play defense on her turf. I had a move of my own, and let me tell you, nothing feels better than watching someone walk into their own trap. Now look, my name's Garrett Mitchell, I'm 38, and before any of this happened, I was a forensic accountant. 15 years chasing money through shell companies, learning to trust the paper trail, learning to copy everything because you never know what'll turn out to be the smoking gun. Thing is, I didn't buy that land because I smelled a scheme. I bought it because I was tired. Tired of hearing my neighbor's music through the drywall every night. Tired of rent going up while my savings went nowhere. So when the HOA listed those 2.3 acres with all their baggage, I saw a chance, a place to build, maybe put down real roots. The contract was clear. The price was 1 cent, but you took on the debts too. They thought nobody would go for it. But I'd done the math. I could handle the risk. March 14th, 2024, first time I set foot on my land since the purchase. Still chilly at sunrise, surveyor's report in hand. I'm thinking maybe this is finally the start of something good. And then 3 black SUVs pull up. 12 people get out in matching navy vests. HOA logos everywhere. Karen herself steps out like she's leading a parade, barking orders left and right. 2 guys plant stakes, a lady unrolls yellow tape, and before I know it, they're fencing off my own property. Karen walks up so close I can smell her perfume. She says, "You're standing on community property, Mr. Mitchell." I hold up my deed. "Your signature's on this contract, Karen." She gives me that look, the one adults give kids who ask something dumb. "You think 1 cent buys you 2 acres? That was an administrative error. We're correcting it." And then snap. She's gone, and her army finishes up taping off my land. A sign goes up, property of Meadowbrook Hills HOA. No trespassing. 12 people and the full weight of the HOA behind them. Me? Just a deed and a sinking feeling. But I'm not stupid. Arguing with them, right there, would only make me look desperate. So I stay quiet. Instead, I start snapping pictures of everything. Faces, license plates, every stake and sign they plant. Click, click, click. Karen laughs, says, "Take all the pictures you want. It won't change anything." She didn't notice the man standing off to the side. Gray suit, black notebook, not talking to anyone. Didn't help with the tape, didn't look at Karen. He just watched me, closed his notebook when our eyes met, and slipped back to his SUV. I made sure to get his picture too. On my way out, I noticed an old billboard, almost hidden by brush. "Coming soon, Sycamore Transit Hub. A vision for 2025. I stopped dead in my tracks. Nobody mentioned this when I bought the land. That night, I Googled it. City Council had approved a $340 million project. Property values expected to skyrocket. Approval date? 5 months before Karen sold me the land for a penny. Let me back up a sec. Why would anyone sell land that's about to be worth millions for 1 cent and then fight to get it back after the value jumps? I started digging, filed a FOIA request, ordered a new title search, pulled every HOA document from closing and read them with a fine-toothed comb. And guess what? The City Council had been discussing the transit hub behind closed doors since late 2021. HOA meetings in early 2022, all talking about dumping my lot, calling it worthless. An outside consultant named Donald Mercer representing Crestview Holdings LLC, shows up in the meeting minutes. That was the man in the gray suit. Crestview Holdings was brand new, real estate consulting, and Donald Mercer was also an exec at Meridian Development Group, the company snapping up land around the transit project. HOA records show a $15,000 consulting payment to Crestview the day I signed for the property. The same day, Karen shook my hand and called it a relief to be rid of the place. And then, once the project's public, they sue me, calling me a fraud and demanding the land back. But the best part? Their lawsuit admitted the property was worth over $5 million. They just handed me the smoking gun. This wasn't a case built to win, it was a confession on legal paper. I hired Raymond Cole, a former federal prosecutor. He didn't say a word until he'd read every document. They can't claim you defrauded them with info you didn't have. They knew about the transit hub, not you. He laid out our plan, prove the HOA had inside info, show the contract was legit, force them to hand over every scrap of communication. If they discussed the transit hub before the sale, we'd find it. Meanwhile, Karen started the real dirty work. Letters went out to all 847 homes in Meadowbrook Hills, painting me as a crook. Security guards fenced off my land. EPA complaints filed. My credit tanked. My auto loan under review. They weren't fighting fair. They wanted me broke and desperate. And then the witness, Twist Karen's niece, Tiffany Barnes, popped up claiming she saw me threaten the HOA during the sale. Problem is, she wasn't there. I'd never even met her. They were straight up inventing testimony. Discovery hit like a tidal wave. 11 boxes of HOA emails, minutes, financials. It was all there in writing the plan to sell low, sue high, split the profits, even the payments to Karen's account labeled TFB, Tiffany's initials a $12,000 bonus just before her testimony. Family business, literally. Donald Mercer? Turns out he's Karen's brother-in-law. The whole scam was orchestrated by them, using Crestview to advise HOA board across Sacramento, always the same playbook. We filed a cross-complaint. Fraud, conspiracy, breach of fiduciary duty. $7.8 million in damages. And that got their attention. Their lawyers called to settle. We said no. Suddenly, more evidence started falling into our lap, including a community member, Marcus Webb, a retired CPA who'd signed Karen's petition, now coming forward after realizing the numbers in her presentation didn't add up. He brought the original and doctored financials to us, and even a recording of Karen lying to the community about the timeline. The media got wind of the case. Catherine Holloway, a reporter of the Sacramento Bee, dug up proof that Crestview and Meridian had been running this play in other HOAs too. The DA launched an investigation. Mercer quit his company. Karen's support began to crumble. The day of the hearing, the courtroom was packed residents, press, other HOAs watching. Karen's side hammered the 1-cent price, called me an opportunist. Raymond started dropping evidence, emails, contracts, bank statements. Then came the big one. He called Tiffany Barnes. She swore she was at the sale. Raymond slid her flight records across the table. Turns out, she was on a plane to Denver at the exact time she claimed she'd been in the room. Under oath, she broke down, admitted Karen had coached her, promised $50,000 for her testimony. The whole mood in the courtroom changed. Residents started switching sides, literally moving from Karen's side of the gallery to mine. Then Raymond played a recording Marcus had captured Karen promising $150,000 payouts to each board member once the land was won back and flipped to Meridian. They even laughed about wearing me down until I gave up, like all the other victims before me. Judge Blackstone didn't mince words. She called it what it was, a scheme to defraud, using the courts as a weapon. She threw out the HOA's claim, ruled in my favor on every count, hit Karen and the HOA for $4.47 million in damages. 60% from the HOA, 40% over $1.6 million personally from Karen. She referred the whole mess to the DEA and state regulators. Karen lost her house. Her assets were frozen. She resigned as HOA president and now faces prison time. Tiffany copped a plea for perjury, agreed to testify against Karen and Donald. Donald Mercer was arrested trying to flee the country, and the developer's company is now staring down class action lawsuits and SEC scrutiny. Me? I got my land, got my life back. Used some of the settlement money to start the Homeowner Justice Initiative, helping other folks facing this exact kind of HOA corruption. The community voted Marcus Webb as the new board president, passed reforms for transparency. I got apology letters from every resident who'd once sided with Karen. I wrote back to everyone because, honestly, being lied to isn't the same as being a liar. That was Karen's legacy, not theirs. I hung a new sign on my property, right where Karen once promised to ruin me. Private property legally purchased June 8th, 2022. Purchase price, 1 cent current value, $5,100,000. Just as priceless. And I meant it. Not for sale, not yet. The land's mine. Always was. People like Karen and Donald, they believe rules are for other people. That if you say something loud enough and long enough, you can make it true. But the paper trail never lies. And karma? Well, sometimes she comes wearing a black robe and holding a gavel. 6 months after the verdict, as winter settled in, I stood alone on that ground again, listening to the distant sound of construction, knowing justice was real if you fight hard enough. And as I watched the sun dip behind the hills, my phone rang. A homeowner in Colorado, facing the same nightmare, asked if I'd listen to his story. I said, "Tell me everything. I'm here." So here's my question for you. When you see power abused, when you see someone get steamrolled because they don't have the resources to fight, do you believe walking away is the right thing? Or is it time for people to stand their ground? Tell me where you stand. Share your story. And if you've ever faced something like this, don't let them scare you silent. Comment below, subscribe, and let's keep shining a light on these stories. That's how things change.